The new trend in Tucson home sales, rent to own. Selling property using a rent to own agreement is really becoming an increasingly popular thing to do here with homeowners in Tucson. The process is underutilized and can be beneficial for both the buyer as well as the seller if it's structured properly. Let's talk more about it today in today's post. Hi, my name's Carl Krenzel, the broker in charge at Carl Buys Houses. And while a rent-to-own sale may not be the very first thing you think about when selling your home here in Tucson, it can be actually a very beneficial option in the right situation. If you want to open the door to a whole new set of buyers, consider the many benefits a rent-to-own agreement can offer you. So let's talk about how it works. When a tenant or a buyer enters into a rent-own agreement, they're agreeing to pay many times an often increased rent each month for a specific period of time. Now, there'll likely be a down payment made to the owner in order to secure the contract, and once the rental period is up, the tenant's going to need to either obtain a loan to purchase the property directly from the owner, or they're going to have to walk away from the deal, losing the money as well as the deposit that they had put in. Now, the term of the contract can vary, and when a homeowner and a tenant enter into a rent-to-own agreement, there's really a number of terms that need to be agreed on before the contract is actually signed. First, obviously, is the lease term. How long is the tenant going to be able to rent the property before they actually purchase the property? Typically, the rental period will be anywhere between 1 and maybe 2 years, okay? Not too much more than that. The down payment period, in many cases, the tenant will make a down payment to the homeowner to secure the contract and to show good faith. Now, while this amount is not going to be as high as a down payment that a traditional bank might be looking for, it should be enough to keep the potential buyer in the deal and from easily backing out. And then, of course, monthly rents. You'll need to consider this. To some extent, the seller is doing the buyer a favor by allowing them to rent before actually buying. And while the process has many benefits for the seller, a rent-to-own agreement will open the door for home ownership for the buyer and for people who might have otherwise not been able to do it in any other way. Maintenance issues. This is a big plus for sellers. Typically the tenant will be responsible for the maintenance of the property during the rental period, and this needs to be discussed between the buyer and the seller and detailed in the contract as to who's responsible for what. Taxes. The tenant will also likely take on the property tax payments. This alleviates a large cost for you as a homeowner. Credit. Now, this is something you'll want to discuss with your attorney, but with the deposit from the prospective buyer and the increased rent each month, many agreements will state that a portion of this money goes towards the down payment on a traditional loan. But there are laws regarding this, so contact your attorney. So let's quickly talk about some of the benefits. One of the biggest benefits that Tucson homeowners get from using a rent-to-own agreement is you get your asking price. When you use a rent-to-own contract to sell your property, you open your property to a lot of potential buyers. Doesn't really matter how much equity you have. Doesn't really matter how much money you put into it to fix it up. There's going to be somebody out there who's going to be interested in your property, and you're making it available for them to purchase. And as such, you're going to have a lot more interest, giving you the opportunity to secure the asking price that you're trying to get within the terms of the loan. You're going to be able to get a higher rent. If you've been considering renting your property out, maybe your home's been on the market before and has expired and nobody's sold it or nobody's bought it. So you're deciding, well, maybe you'll just rent it out. In a rent-to-own agreement, you'll be able to collect a higher rent each month. While some of these funds could be used to the down payment, you might be able to just keep that and see great profits, as well as knowing you're going to have a tenant in place that is going to be there with the intent to buy, and that's an entirely different kind of tenant. Deposit. The deposit. If the tenant defaults on the agreement, the deposit, the amount of month that they paid in the rent, it's all yours to keep. Okay, you might be back to where you started, but you're going to be back to where you started with more cash in your pocket, and you're going to have a house back that you can go ahead and sell it again. So How do you get started in this sort of thing? Well, it's pretty easy. To get started, you're going to want to find the right tenants to enter into the agreement with. You're going to draw up a contract detailing every aspect of the agreement as we talked about. You might want to have your lawyer review this contract to make sure that everything is in order. Again, I'm a broker here at Carl Buys Houses, and I can make the entire process of offering your property via rent-to-own agreement very simple as well as profitable. Contact me today if you're interested in this sort of thing to learn more about selling your home in Tucson on a rent-to-own agreement. My number here is 520-403-6227. Thanks for paying attention, and have a great day. Bye-bye.